各位嘉宾 ，The Future 小鹏第二代
Ladies and gentlemen, the future XPENG VLA 2.0 Test Experience Day is about to begin. Let's welcome XPENG Chairman and CEO Mr. He Xiaopeng to the stage. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Xiaopeng. Welcome to today XPENG VLA 2.0, the Media Experience Day. Today is the 14th day of the first lunar month. According to the Chinese tradition, we will not finish the Chinese New Year celebration until after the Chinese Lantern Festival. For a lot of audience online and offline, today is also the first working day after the Chinese New Year. Still, I want to extend my New Year greetings to you all. Wish you good success and also health. Today is a media test experience day, but I think the meaning is more than that. From my perspective, today, the event will have three differences. The media experience that we are going to have will be different from the past autonomous driving in the industry. In the past, when we talk about autonomous driving, every company, every product, from my perspective, is at L2 level. When those technologies are at debut, it will be very advanced. But for our company today, we are going to target L4 autonomous driving, the brand new beginning for our company. It also means that the car that we are driving will be totally different from the past. The second big difference from my perspective is that last year, we saw the emergence of DeepSeek. This year, we saw the Cadence 2.0 by ByteDance. That also indicates AI and agents are transforming our digital world. However, from today, China's auto industry and also smart hardware industry will also have transformation in terms of AI and agents. In my past 10 years of entrepreneurship, I always say that smart EVs change the energy format from petrol to new energy. Today, a user, when they buy the car, what do they pay attention to? First, range. Second, the exterior. Third, the price. In the past decade, software and AI only account for 5 to 10% of their option during purchase. But in the new decade, we are going to witness some new changes. For instance, whether the car can drive itself, if the car can provide service for the customers. These kind of factors will also determine if the customers are going to buy the car or not. Today is a small step for XPENG, but it will be a huge leap for our next 10 years. Later, I will also share with you guys more details about our VLA 2.0, this new technology. For our VLA 2.0, at the beginning, we were thinking about if this is from L2 to L4, then what should be the biggest change in the society? When we in the past used autonomous driving, usually the husbands at home will use the car or drive. Mothers will sit in the passenger seat. For our company, we think for the good technologies, we need to make it intuitive and also very easy to use. That's why when we develop our new technology, we want to make our autonomous driving loved by mothers, and also for them can be very easy and intuitive. That's why we invite a group of fathers and mothers in our canteen to test drive it. I also want to share with you one story. When we moved to the new headquarters, we were thinking if we can invite the parents of our colleagues to the company without any charging, and they also don't need to go buy the grocery. They just come here to provide the food services for our colleagues. Now this kind of mother's windows have already been operational for several months. They come here already. They know how to cook, but in the past they don't know too much about our autonomous driving. Today, I want to use one video to show you for mothers and also for fathers, what does smart driving mean for them. Do you know what is smart driving? I didn't drive before. I don't know too much about smart driving. Smart driving is just the car drive by itself. Yeah, the car just drive by itself. That's autonomous driving. Smart driving means that you don't need to control by yourself. You only need to get on the car, and then you can use smart driving to drive from Guangdong province to Hubei province. I think smart driving is like no one is in charge of the car, just drive by itself. Why you didn't try smart driving before? Because I'm afraid I cannot drive. I feel like lack of safety. I'm afraid. We are actually experienced drivers. We want to grasp the steering wheel. Without touching the steering wheel, we feel it's not that safe in the past. Now I still a little bit afraid to test the drive. I want to drive it, but still a little bit afraid. Afraid of what? Because I haven't used this smart driving feature. In the past, I didn't trust too much of smart driving. That's why today I want to test the drive, what the advanced features are. For my mom, I remember the first time I bring her to test the drive, the smart driving, I remembered her facial expression, and she told me I need to grab the handle a little bit. If today my mother sits in my car with autonomous driving, she is already very calm and also easy with ease. I feel like for good technology should be friendly to everyone, and the people, everyone, they should like to use it. Then this is a good technology. This is a good autonomous driving. For smart driving for all from L2 to L4, I believe this is just like easy as taking the elevator. No matter for elderly people or for the children, they can take the elevator from one floor to another. For the advanced smart driving, we should also make it simple and also friendly as well as intuitive. Now let's look back at the past years. For our company, we are developing advanced L2 level autonomous driving. 1 year ago, in 2025, I was very painful. I remember it's March or April in 2025. Why? Because I cannot see why L2 can become L4 or L5. Back then, I was also thinking every car maker focus on exterior or the features, but is this the only path? Is only because of the scale effect, or we can have something new to compete in this segment, in this industry? Back then, no matter for highway or for the urban roads or for parking, no matter in China or for overseas, we need to use a lot of colleagues to write codes and algorithms. That's why a lot of smart driving technologies in the past seem to be working well, but across different capabilities, they are not that even. At that time, I call L2 is like piecing some capabilities together. Sometimes the bug didn't come from software or the program. It come from actually the rules of several years ago or different road conditions. To put it into another perspective, I think L2 in the past is only offer opportunity for us to explore. Last year, I have a friend who has never been driving our autonomous driving. He asked me some questions. Can we drive with this in parking lots? I said, no, you need to go to the public roads. If the public roads block my car, what should I do? Then you need to actually take over. Then he told me, I will not drive it. Because my friend is the one didn't try any smart driving before, because he told me the features are very good according to your information, but I'm afraid, especially in some complicated situations. Last year, we see in China a lot of companies, they are changing their path, they are changing their approach. Some companies not advanced in autonomous driving, now they can go to the top tier or the second tier. Last March and April, when I was very painful, you can see this kind of curve on the screen. When we work on ABC features, we also need to think about what will be the features at the C and D level. And we don't know when we can achieve the L4 level. Just like recently in the US, we have a very good autonomous driving company. During the hearings, one judge was asking them some questions, and they said in Mexico, they have a very big takeover team. If you want to develop L3 or L4 cars there, then you can sometimes see that the car will stop by the road for about 1.5 or 2 seconds, and then later the car suddenly moves because they have a big team behind to operate the car. In the era of L4, if we only rely on algorithms, it will be extremely difficult. That's why we must actually start from scratch, the new paradigm. Last year, we were working on actually 2 roads. The first road is the white line here. We think this can support L2 plus evolving to L2 plus plus. The second direction we were trying last year, and also the direction we are developing, is L4 system. We call it our VLA 2.0. When we kick off this project 2 years ago, to be frank, for me and also for a lot of colleagues, they think that we should work on the VLA 1.0 first, because 2.0 will not be that easy and we need to evolve. This kind of VLA 2.0 will be very versatile and also very strong. We don't know if we can achieve this because in the industry, no one has achieved this before. Back then, I want to thank some of my team members because they transformed the impossible to possible. This also brings us to today, our VLA 2.0. We redefine the model paradigm, accelerating towards the L4 endgame. This is not based on the previous structure. This is a brand new system, a brand new paradigm. I can tell you that our media and some of our owners, when you try VLA 2.0, it's actually different from the latest progress because every month we are iterating very quickly. I very much believe that this year we can see in China the very widespread L4 capabilities. I also very proud to say that 12 years ago, when we established the company, we think the future should be both hardware and software, not only hardware. That's also the reason why our company pays much attention to software. We are the first batch to achieve the city NGP, highway NGP, and also we are the first one to remove the LiDAR and to adopt the pure vision model. Today, we redefine our model paradigm again. We hope our company to use our VLA 2.0 to transform from L2 to L4. Very soon will be the National People's Congress. I also wrote some initiatives. I hope that in China, we can accelerate the L2 to L4 transformation for autonomous driving, and also we can refine the regulations and the management policies. In this January, we already see that United Nations already announced that it will pass the global L2 autonomous driving regulation by the end of this year, and by early next year, they will open also the possibility for L3 era. And also for the US, they also introduced a new rule that the driverless vehicles without steering wheel can operate on the roads. I suggest L3 can be the middle stage. Now we already transform from L2 to L4. This is very soon going to happen. In this kind of system, we need to transform the code technology into the indispensable needs for every mom. Now let's have a look back at the L2 technologies. What are the problems? First, for L2 technologies, it's not that intuitive, not easy to use, make people a little bit afraid. Also, for some L2 technologies, some scenarios, you cannot use it. Highway you can use. Urban roads, the main roads you can road, but the auxiliary roads and also the narrow roads, the parks, can you use it? Also the parking lot, can you use it? Sometimes different weathers will also bring different situations. So a lot of limitations for scenarios during the L2 stage. What's more, now in terms of safety, they will actually didn't consider any efficiency. Sometimes I think L2 will lead to a very high takeover rate. Sometimes the driving not that smart. It can be very easy to overtake a car, but it's not that smart. It will only follow behind the previous car. For XPENG, our VLA 2.0, we want to be intuitive, smooth. Even moms, they can actually have the courage to use it. And also, we cover all scenarios and achieve utmost efficiency. We hope our VLA 2.0 can iterate from the past L2 capabilities to the smart driving technologies that can be used and liked by the general public. In this new era, we are going to redefine the perception of individuals and families for autonomous driving. I want to use one video to show you how moms think about our VLA 2.0.
Actually, parents would trust themselves and their children instead of the autonomous driving. But we also hope that the parents of our XPENGers can also learn our smart driving quickly and rest assured. So today, your job is to check my work and Tingting's work. This is an internal test of our VLA 2.0 before the launch. So now you can see there is a red light ahead. You see whether it would stop. So it stopped. And you see wait for a while and now proceed slowly, right? Wow, it reacted very quickly. So it's the card that breaks, it's not you, right? So we like to try. Are you nervous? Because you just get on board and might feel a little bit nervous. But you see, it would slow down in advance very gently. So there's no sudden braking at all. I can actually feel quite relaxed. I think it controls even better than the experienced driver. Let's have Xiaoma's Papa to try. You see, it's a very complex scenarios. We have many cars merging in, and now it is slowly navigating through it. So with the autonomous driving, how far will you go? Well, I think it's not exhausting to drive if we have autonomous driving. For example, I can even look back to the ladies behind. And now let's take over to that side. Well, once you drive, there is an obvious jerk. So for the moms, how do you think about our assisted driving compared to the dads or the children's drive? Well, it's very stable, it's very good. Thank you very much. We'll keep working hard trying to make it safer, smoother, and cover more scenarios. We just show you a video clip to see how moms would feel about our smart driving after their first try. You see that there's a very obvious difference, and I strongly encourage every one of you, whether you have tried the smart driving before, to have a first-hand experience of our VLA 2.0 and even compare it with your own car. It's just like WeChat in 2010. At that time, the mobile internet was still at its infant stage, but very soon it's going to change our life. I think in the coming 3 years or less, the vehicle will drive itself very smoothly. So today, we would like to share with you that our goal is to take a leap from L2 to L4 to the very first stage of L4. We believe that there are 3 key capabilities. The first is the seamless, smooth, and reassuring experience, making sure that it can assure you with the ultimate safety. The second is the full scenario capability. Or to be honest, we still have some scenarios that haven't been covered yet. For example, some internal roads or the merge in the hutong. How can the vehicle reverse back and start off again? But don't worry. We promise that by the end of this year, all of those would be handled. The third is about high efficiency, and it can break down into 2 parts. First, it needs to be as efficient as human driver. Second, it needs to be smart. It can't have a long-term time series planning for the route. I think this would be the 3 key features for the L4. And first, we would like to talk about the reassurance. We hope that our VLA 2.0 can give you a reassuring drive experience for moms and other friends who have never tested the smart driving before and even would like to try it themselves. For the traditional L2 assisted driving, yes, they can handle some road conditions slowly or just wobbly by navigating through it. They may even have a sudden brake, sudden acceleration, and this would cause people to feel uneasy, to cause discomfort. This would require the smart driving system to have prediction, to have the reasonable speed control and know when to yield and how to yield it in a good manner. For example, to avoid the scrap, making sure to keep a distance. And also, they need to have an instinct, like the human. So recently, we actually conducted a very interesting touring test to let the passenger seat or people sitting in the rear, in the back row, to guess which is actually driving, the people or the AI. And to be honest, it's very easy to tell whether it is people or AI driving when it is just the L2 stage. But with the advent of VLA 2.0, I think it would disrupt your perception and imagination. Let's first watch a short video.
Was it human driving or AI till now?
Human. Please slow down and change the line. Matthias, just now.
I think it was you.
Me?
Yes.
You're wrong.
Oh. That action was very human.
It's AI driving.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're more relaxed, you're speaking, you're looking at us.
He's driving better than me.
driving now. You can tell. Guess.
The car?
The car, yes.
Wow.
I think I on.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like the human has taken back over.
How was I driving?
It feels very smooth.
No, it's hard to tell.
Who's driving and how many times have I intervened?
Like 10 times intervention.
Actually, I'm not driving.
I think probably surely a few times you have to do a little correction.
Okay. That's I guess 5. Yeah, 5. So roughly then how many you have to take over? 0. No takeover. So like me holding it, very smooth.
This is smooth.
I got one wrong answer. It was the situation that I told you. The movement, the speeding and everything, it felt very human, so I couldn't tell it was the car doing it by itself.
I think we were wrong all the time because it was so safe that we think that that human making the decision.
我跟大家分享一个真实最近几天的小故事。I would like to share with you an interesting story. A friend approached me. At that time, I was test driving, and I asked him to join him. And we had a discussion. I asked him, "How is my drive?" He said, "Pretty good. You know what? I'm not touching the steering wheel. It is the car that drives itself." And then I disengage. I have a hands-off drive and let the car drive itself. And after that, my friend quickly grabbed the handles. Well, he said in a very frightened way, "Is it true? Are you kidding me?" And after 15 minutes, he didn't speak at all. In the first 5 minutes, he just kept focused on the road ahead. But in the later 10 minutes, he started to feel more relaxed. And then I told him that now I will take over and let's see the difference between my drive and the vehicle. And later, he gave me the feedback that why not just hand over to the AI? I think he drives better than you. Because when I drove, there are some very sudden brakes or accelerations causing some discomfort. Some steering, acceleration, the cutting in. My friend said that you're not as smooth as the AI drove. Therefore, what I want to share is that sometimes it's very hard to imagine that VLA has already progressed to this stage, and it's very hard to use language to express this kind of feeling. We really suggest you to have a hands-on experience yourself. And compared to the traditional L2 assisted driving, you will feel that some of the uneasy scenarios, and we listed them into 4 aspects, which include the irregular shaped vehicles, and also the sudden dooring of the car next door, and also some bumpy roads and the speed bumps ahead, some stones ahead. How you navigate through it. And how about the pitch dark night when some pedestrian quietly cross the road? How will you spot them and how will you handle it? Well, let's break it down one by one. The first, well, I will go to the right side of the stage. You can see that when we encounter the irregular shaped vehicles, no matter it is the large trunk or smaller ones that only occupied half the lane, one lane, no matter it is the flatbed cart or some bicycles, the vehicles can't identify it. Is it cool? And also during our test, when there is a sudden dooring happening just right next to you, To be honest, this is exactly the thing that I've encountered during my way to my office. So there was a driver suddenly opened the door next to me and it frightened me. It's just about 30 or 40 centimeters close. And to be honest, I didn't notice it by myself. It is the VLA 2.0 that noticed it. And this is an accident that took place in our recent test. So you can find that there is a vehicle on the opposite lane had a collision with the guardrails and stopped in the middle of the road with crabs splattering on the road. So we not only captured everything we've seen on this stage, but we also show you how the VLA 2.0 thought, how this model operated. You can see that it already identified in advance and planned a detour route. You can see that in this emergency, for other vehicles, other drivers, they are in a constant motions, and the model also need to predict and plan accordingly. Another interesting scenario is this kind of bumpy, poorly constructed roads, some kind of roads that you would normally see in the countryside. You can see that for these roads without any lane lines, any curves, and when we drive on this road, the VLA 2.0 often need to slow down to prevent from any kind of sudden braking, trying to give more comfort to the passengers. And to be honest, it's fantastic. It drives better than me in the nighttime because when I drive, I will not be as careful as it is. And frankly, probably in this year or next year, if we encounter some wheel cap being stolen, I think VLA 2.0 can also notice it. Another interesting scenario is pedestrian dressed in dark in the nighttime. They may present in your blind spot, places that you can hardly notice, something that often ran into. So you can see that there is a person standing right next to the car. If we don't turn an angle, it's hard to spot them. See, there are actually two people. But when you steer the dark day, the rainy day, and also the dark close, make it all difficult for the drivers to overlook their presence. However, the VLA 2.0 already detect them in advance. So this scenario truly convinced me that the ultimate capability of the autonomous driving can outperform that of the human driver. Well, I see that many of you are already taking pictures. And the next scenario is that a small dogs or small animals running across the road. The car would also slow down automatically. Is it fantastic? Actually, this video left a great impression on me. In 2017, when I started to think about whether the autonomous driving would be the necessary end game in the next dozens or in the next decade or 2 decade years. I went to an office in the Silicon Valley and I test drove myself, while some of which are pretty good. However, some actually ran across a squirrel. At the same time, I noticed that many of them would only dare to try in the daytime. They don't really try this kind of autonomous driving at night. So I asked my team, in the future, can we really identify animals like dogs, cats, horses, even in nighttime? You know, in the past rule-based era, it's very difficult to write them in the program because there are countless animals in countless different numbers. It's really hard for the rule-based program to tell what it is. So only with AI plus the vision can we achieve this kind of intelligence. So how can we evaluate whether a good smart driving is really comfortable, reassuring, will not make you feel scary? Well, we thought about a lot of things and we decided to break it down into 4 dimensions. The first is whether it is abrupt, like the sudden braking, the sudden acceleration and deceleration. The second is whether it is wobbly, so when it's steered, the steering wheel, whether it will feel very wobbly. And the third is whether it is smooth. For example, the jerk, the total jerk count, and the smoothness of the speed. So this depends on the planning of the route and also the buffer. In order to achieve this, we actually developed a software called Spilt.
We develop our own software. It's called Spilt. I want to share with you some background information. In the past, the drivers driving for the managers or leaders, they have a test putting a water or a cup of coffee from A point to B point. They will see how much you spill. Without any spilling at high efficiency means you are eligible driver. If you didn't spill anything but drive very slowly, it is also a failure. For an extremely good driver, it means that they will provide reassuring driving for you with high efficiency without spilling any water or coffee. We developed this software. Welcome to scan the QR code to have a test experience. No matter you drive our VLA 2.0 or you drive by yourself, we want to show the comparison because we hope our autonomous driving system can achieve the level same as the experienced drivers. A lot of experienced drivers from Beijing, they go to Guangzhou, from Guangzhou or to my hometown, Hubei, Huangshi City, because different cities have different road conditions, or not in China, go to another country like the US, the local conditions will also be different. We hope our VLA 2.0 can be experienced driver not only in the familiar road conditions, but also in new road conditions. Also, I'd like to share some data with you guys. We made the comparison between our VLA 2.0 and also the traditional L2 autonomous driving at the same road, the comfort level. For the traditional L2 autonomous driving, what's the painful thing? A lot of sudden braking. Sometimes the sudden braking will make you a little bit scared. Because of the scary feeling, they cannot use anymore the autonomous driving. But for our VLA 2.0, you can see it's very smooth and consistent. We believe our VLA 2.0 will also make our mothers more reassured when they are driving and using our system. I remembered one comment from one mom. Through trying, she said, smart driving now is driving better than herself and also her husband. Now I'm willing to buy a car because in the past for myself, I'm afraid of driving alone. But with the VLA 2.0, this kind of experience, she likes to drive because the system drives itself very smartly, and also I can bring my friends to go out for a tea or have some shopping. This is actually also our intention to make our smart driving more intuitive and easy for all. This is the first point. Next, I also want to talk about our all-scenario capability. You can drive anywhere with our VLA 2.0. It is super important because in the past, some autonomous driving companies will say that their safety is at a high level, their also takeover rate is also very positive. But the driving speed is very low, and they didn't go to some narrow roads. They only go to the highway or the main urban roads. For L4 cars, from point A to point B, they will only take the longer road, which will be actually wider. But this is not that efficient. For our VLA 2.0, we have a different target. No matter what kind of road you are going to face, we are going to offer the consistent, smooth experience. Some L2 autonomous driving, they say that they will support the highway. And also, they have this kind of memory pilot driving, but that kind of road is very easy. It's actually not that complicated, and also sometimes in cities, some roads are difficult and also not safe to drive with L2 autonomous driving system. Today, if we change from main road to auxiliary road, or if we actually park by the road without anything else, we can just actually start at standstill at the parking mode. Also in some narrow alleys and also some urban old areas, can also the car be smart enough to drive. Also during the construction areas across different kinds of roads, can the car also drive with reassurance and confidence. Also not only in cities but also in towns and also in different weathers, can the car also support this kind of advanced autonomous driving. Today I want to say, not every scenario we are 100% good. For instance, highway and also urban roads. For instance, on our urban roads, other autonomous driving technologies may be 70 out of 100, but we can achieve 90 out of 100. And for some narrow roads, other autonomous driving capabilities can achieve around 10 or 20 out of 100, but we can achieve 70 out of 100. So a lot of capabilities are improving and iterating from our VLA 2.0 system. Next, also want to share some scenarios with you. This is called activate start from the P gear. No matter you park by the road or in the parking lot, at the parking gear, you can just activate our NGP to start the driving. However, if you have very narrow distance from the car in front or the car in the rear, we cannot support. But very soon, the latest versions will improve this issue. My target is that after you getting on the car, it will automatically drive to your school or to your workplace. This is the real autonomous driving. Without any takeover, it is a very good and safe autonomous driving, even in the face of some abnormal situations. This is another typical scenarios in Guangzhou, very narrow lane. You can see these two cars, the distance less than 10 millimeters from the side mirror perspective. In the past, we cannot actually use autonomous driving because it's too close. And also this video, we didn't speed up. You can see the driving just navigate through this kind of narrow distance. During the test, we also have a lot of similar scenarios. Another information, another case I'd like to share is the pothole avoidance on rural roads, especially at night. You can see how it turns on the left turning signal because he noticed that there is a pothole on the road. Using our VLA 2.0, you can see no matter on urban roads or on rural roads, it can actually support the avoidance of potholes, just as experienced as human drivers. And the next one, even more challenging. This is at night. You can see we have some traffic cones because the road is actually under construction. You can see how the car drives itself. So at this moment, it turns to the right because the cone is very straight, but another new cones, then it turns to right again, very smooth, bypass the traffic cones in narrow lanes. I think this kind of scenario already includes a lot of complicated scenarios. The traffic cones, the nighttime, and also the narrow roads. Another scenario is in the night market. So this night market is very common in China, but we have a lot of non-standard objects. We have a lot of food stores and also people as well as bikes, scooters. The lighting also not that standard. At this moment, how can our car maneuver through this kind of night market? If you see the video, you can see how smooth the driving is. The next scenario is the torrential rain. During the test recently, we had this kind of torrential rain. In the past, the L2 autonomous driving will require the driver to take over because the car itself cannot decide or cannot see what's in front. But in the downpour situation, the impact for the LiDAR will be huge. That's why for our VLA 2.0, using the latest technology, we provide the same clear visibility even in the torrential raining situation. Also, sometimes we from the parking lot to our home or from a restaurant to our apartment, we need to get on the car, set up the navigation first. But for our new VLA 2.0, even without navigation, it will start the driving. During the Chinese New Year, in Guangzhou, I was using this feature. I was driving this for around 1 hour. I don't know where the car will go because I didn't put any destination. The car just drive itself through the Guangzhou city. It's just like a very magical moment. When you start from a residential compound or from a parking lot, you hope the car can go out first and then you will know where you go. Then you put the navigation. But for our VLA 2.0, this kind of roaming feature, this kind of cruising will be a new feature that we are going to offer for the customers. These two features, parking lot cruising and urban cruising, will soon be available in our VLA 2.0. No matter you turn on the navigation or not, it will support the driving. Another scenario I want to share with you guys is actually in this kind of narrow road blocked by a lot of illegally parked cars, we can still navigate through this kind of condition. You can see how narrow the road is with different cars. So is it impressive? I want to say that we, even as experienced drivers, sometimes will find it difficult to navigate through this kind of parking lot. You need to see the left, see the right, and also see the camera. But I think the VLA 2.0 is a little bit smarter than me during driving. In this kind of blocking roads with a lot of cars around, it can also find its way out. So what is the full scenario driving? It means that no matter on highways or on main urban roads or on urban highways, in the residential compounds, in the parks and in the parking lots, even without navigation or with navigation, we can drive with confidence and also sometimes even without guidance. This is our full scenario VLA 2.0.
那么来跟大家分享第3段。
And next is our third part, our VLA 2.0. It's also loved by seasoned drivers, which also includes me, because oftentimes I feel that I would drive more efficiently than you, drive faster than you. I can easily thread my ways between very narrow gap, make sure that there's no collision or scrap. That's why we believe that those experienced drivers would have higher requirements to the smart driving. They will require better efficiency and better intelligence. For the traditional L2 assisted driving, in order to reduce the takeovers, they usually just lower the speed or simply just disengage, which would compromise the efficiency. And usually in this case, I was very anxious, asking why didn't it just turn to the right side? So you will find that this kind of traditional assisted driving, they have weak predictions capability. But for our VLA 2.0, we find that our commute efficiency is actually on par with the seasoned drivers in the first stage, just the first stage, because we expect better progress in the coming days. And this is actually a result that we've tested in the real world. We compared our VLA 2.0 with the L2 assisted driving and the L4 robotaxi. And you may notice that the route of our VLA 2.0 is different than that of other L2 or L4 robotaxi, because we only set the destination and have the car to drive itself. You will find that the car would automatically pick a more favorable, optimal route to travel shorter. And the total time for the navigation is 44 minutes. For VLA 2.0, it only took 43 minutes. For L2 and L4 robotaxi, they took even longer. That's why many professional drivers, well, one of my friends, I would like to share a story with you. In January this year, I invited my friend who is actually an experienced driver for many years, and he didn't know that we conducted internal tests for our VLA 2.0. I invited him for a test, and after 1 hour drive, he said that, Xiaopeng, I believe that, well, the technology is progress so fast that I couldn't wonder how many years can the chauffeur keep their job. Because they find that the acceleration, the decelerations, well, they're very smooth, and he have to admit that even him cannot drive as smooth as the VLA 2.0. And he also said that he thought he was a pretty veteran, seasoned driver, knowing pretty well about the Guangzhou road conditions. Despite that, he still have to admit that the VLA 2.0 is pretty fascinating. So after statistics, we find that our overall efficiency has improved by 23%. And in the coming years, we believe that the XPENG VLA 2.0 will not only drive smoothly, but also smartly. Let's show you how much intelligent is that. So you can see that this is a video shot in a test, very interesting one. You can see that our car suddenly pulled over and stopped moving. Why the case? Because it detected that there was an ambulance. That's why he just pulled over and make way to the ambulance. And after the ambulance passed by, it started off again automatically. This is really an unexpected things that we encountered in a road test. Another example is during our test, we encountered the traffic police officers conducted the drunk driving test. So you know what? Our VLA 2.0 just stopped automatically in front of the officers, and after the officers wave their hands, it also identify the gestures and then proceed itself. Well, to be honest, we of course have encountered a lot of scenarios that the vehicles are not smart enough. The team told me that oftentimes the car would pull over itself and they will look the reason behind it, and after learning for it, it is because someone was hauling a taxi behind, and the car just identified that hand gestures and pull over automatically. So in the future, we still need to optimize telling the model when should pull over and when should not. Anyway, I really want to share with you that this is the VLA 2.0 that we have progressed. A smart driving for all, loved even by the moms. We believe that it is 5 times safer and smoother than the L2 in this industry. And even more than 5 times, we believe that we will cover the whole scenarios from the starting point to the destination. And by this year, we're going to make sure that all the performance across different scenarios will on par with this performance in the main roads, and it would be highly efficient. This is just the beginning. We're going to usher in a new era, and in recent days you will find that a lot of the Chinese NEV startups were very painful because the monthly sales of the ICE, they're very impressive. But you know what? In the next decade, we're going to see that the evaluation of the vehicle would be changed. No matter in China and US, when you want to rent an XPENG car or buy an XPENG car, you simply just tell the car that I want to go to the Canton Tower or anywhere else. You can just speak in your mother language and have the vehicle to take you to the destination very safely, smoothly. I believe that this would be a very important moment. It would be a brand new moment in the physical AI. The agent will be a very critical moment in the next 3 years. A lot of the companies in the past told us that you should, well, just buy a smart driving software from the tier 1 supplier. But what I want to say is that we're now integrating our capabilities. We're going to integrate agent, AI, and only companies that can achieve a cross-domain integration, the full stack R&D can achieve true autonomy. That's why I think it is very important for this moment to arrive. Because for XPENG, for our VLA 2.0, it is accelerating so fast. Well, every year in the past, the progress we've made using the rule-based systems can be achieved in just 2 weeks using the existing models. So please, everyone, stay tuned for the upcoming months until August, which is exactly an exam we're going to have for our autonomous driving teams in our company as a bet between me and Xianmin. Because by August, we hope that our autonomous driving capability can rival that of the smart driving capability in the US. We believe that the full autonomy after the laws and regulations permitted can safely take you back home even though you are drunk, can take your parents, your children in the future to travel afar. You don't need to drive for them, you just have the cars to service you. This moment will be just around the corner. And actually, in recent days, a lot of you haven't had the chance to test drive it yourself. What I want to say is that starting from today, we're going to invite around 200 media around the world to test drive, and we welcomed your most critical feedback to challenge us. At the same time, we're also going to launch a smart drive across China initiative from west to the east. You know that in this Chinese New Year holiday, many of you drove thousands of kilometers back to your hometown. And you know, it is a very painful journey because you need to rest for every 4 hours required by the law. And it's also due to the safety concerns, safety about your family. And our goal is that next time when you travel together with your families, you would have much more reassurance, while we will have a better sense of safety because of our smart driving. At the same time, for our car owners, the users, starting from March 11th, our VLA 2.0 would also be available for the test drive across our 732 stores in China. No matter you have tried it before or not, or you simply just want to compare it with yourself, we really welcome you to have a try. And also, please turn on our software that's built to give a very objective test. You will find that it may drive even better than yourself, than your husband, and than your dad. And here, I'd like to announce that the robotaxi equipped with our VLA 2.0 and the test model is the GX, has already started its public road testing without a driver in the driver's seat, without navigation. It can perform the autonomous maneuvers such as picking up the passengers, conducting autonomous driving, pulling over. We hope that in the coming days in Guangzhou, it's going to be available for a lot of you to have a try. Also, our VLA 2.0 since its inception is designed to be a global model. You know that a lot of the L2 assisted driving suppliers, they've programmed their software specifically targets Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, these top-tier cities. And if they want to adapt this software into other cities, they have to rewrite it again. And due to the different laws and regulations, different driving habits, don't know how the drivers would cut in, would pull over, would overtake in the local cities. And also because they are over-reliance on the HD maps, especially in some complex intersections. This would make this L2 assisted driving supplier has a performance ceiling. Therefore, we're very delighted that our VLA 2.0, when we tested it in different cities in different countries, without accessing the local data, we found that it can still perform pretty well, pretty impressive. It's really out of my expectation. I'm so delighted to see that. I believe that in the coming future, we're going to see its presence in the overseas market. I believe that in 2027, that goal will be realized. In 2027, we hope that the XPENG VLA 2.0 would be delivered on a large scale. At the same time, it would be at its full capacity. Just as I said that the UN DCAS laws and regulations has already announced that in 2026, the hands-off driving would be permitted, and by the early 2027, they're also going to permit for more advanced autonomous driving. Therefore, with laws and regulations in place, these days would just be very close to us. So here is a little pressure to us. Here I want to say that the era of fully autonomous driving is set to arrive within 1 to 3 years. And by then, everyone will believe that this smart driving can drive more efficiently, smoother, safer, and everyone just wait and see this moment.
那么，除了
In addition to our company using VLA 2.0, we also welcome more Tier 1 companies and other OEMs to use our VLA 2.0. Today, I'm very glad to share the information with you. Volkswagen is to become the launch customer for our VLA 2.0. We also have some other customers under negotiation. We believe the best autonomous driving will be actually a standard feature or one of the standard features for the future agent-based vehicles, and in the future it will provide more active services. This is a very important milestone. In addition, I want to share with you more information. This is our first step of our embodied intelligence. Cars will be first. Very soon, our robotaxi will be debuted, and also our robots. I believe our robots, we will be the first to actually not only develop but also mass produce our VLA into different products of our company, no matter in car or in robots or in flying car, different embodied intelligence formats. In the past, I cannot imagine the robot can be generalized for free actions and motions, but soon, I believe this will be achieved with our VLA 2.0 capability. Some people might ask me, how, Xiaopeng, you can do this? Now I'd like to share with you one video. After the video, I'd like to invite Xianming Liu, the leader of our General Intelligence Center, also the leader for VLA 2.0, to share with you more information. Before Xianming's speech, I'd like to show you one video. Actually, it's a real-life moment of our customers driving back hometown during the Chinese New Year using our VLA 2.0. Now let's welcome Head of XPENG General Intelligence Center, Xianming Liu, to the stage.
Hello, 大家好，我是Xianming。
Hi everyone, I'm Xianming. I'm very glad to meet you guys today. So Xiaopeng has already talked about the emotional part. I will talk more rational part. Difficult to understand, but I will try to make it easy to understand. During the Chinese New Year, we have already launched the beta version for some internal users, and we already see that these users use VLA 2.0 to actually travel across China, visit their friends, their family members. We also got some feedback and suggestions from the customers. Some people mention badass, very good, impressive, but some people mention some things to improve. During the Chinese New Year, my team was also working overtime without any rest to support and iterate the features, because the target is to bring you the most mature production version to you guys. We also would like to have everyone witness that VLA 2.0 of XPENG will offer something different to the industry. In the autonomous driving industry, sometimes it can be both painful and joyful. Painful because this industry is too competitive. A lot of OEMs, they are competing with a lot of advanced features. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves, do we need to give up something that we believe which will be right? Do we need to actually follow the trend? This is the question before we always ask ourselves. Also, autonomous driving is about life. It's about safety. Everyone, you have family members, and your family will actually want you to go back home safely. So we cannot deliver any unsafe software to the customers. Sometimes we are also thinking if we just lower down the speed of the car because we want higher safety. We also don't want to compromise efficiency. We want to have a balance. And also, do I really need to actually run nakedly on the Golden Gate Bridge? Based on the bet I was making with Xiaopeng last year. So every day we are exploring something new, something unknown. We are also trying some new approaches. We have some like-minded friends, not only our colleagues, but also our partners who are supporting. We are supporting each other. When one version is not that performing well, and we will encourage each other to improve next time. And when we have some very impressive versions, we will also encourage ourselves not to be complacent. We need to keep working. What's more important, we have our competitors and also our users beside us. We want to also talk with them just like friends. We talk about how technologies can transform our daily life. Because of all of this, we think actually the L4 autonomous driving is already unfolding in front of our eyes. For autonomous driving, it is fundamentally a physical AI issue, including 4 aspects: model, computing power, data, and also the embodiment, which includes the manufacturing capability and also the chips. These 4 aspects support our capability, especially L4 autonomous driving capability. For model, computing power, and data, these are the scaling law actually you guys already familiar with. Today, I hope I can use some simple methods to explain what we have been doing in the past 2 years and how we can accelerate to L4. First, about model. In physical world, actually the difficulty is increasing exponentially because the data actually are non-structured, a lot massive, and also difficult to break down. Sometimes the signal also continuous. Sometimes when you control the torque, when you control the steering wheel, the signal actually will be continuous. The third point I'd like to mention that for the physical world, if you want to have interactions, the feedback can be sometimes unexpected. We cannot define what is the right feedback or what is the 100% correct feedback. All of this, if we think about, then we need to focus on the development of a foundation model. We always believe that only companies develop foundation models can truly master L4 capabilities. In order to achieve this, we build our VLA 2.0 into a native multimodal physical world model. To actually targetedly solve the issue, we need to think about how we can interact or deal with the consistent signals. That's why we create this kind of native multimodal tokenizer, so more efficiently and more natively it can actually code our signals and then achieve the native integration of multimodal information. The physical world is very complicated, so how we address the problem, we need a very long and fast reasoning process. This is what we call also visual COT. In order to make it real time, we increase the reasoning efficiency by 32 times. The third point I want to mention is about multimodal output. We need to have a voice, vision, action, and also motion to support our multimodal output. With this kind of consistency and also the vision mentality and also multimodal output, we can achieve this native multimodal physical world model. As Xiaopeng has also mentioned, we also want to have an interaction between the car and also the cabin, which will be our next step. We want to actually more intuitively and smartly integrate our smart driving system with our cabin features. For our VLA 2.0, how it can make right judgment. Here you can see one example. We are following a truck in behind, driving very slowly. The model itself, through thinking, will find different solutions. For instance, overtake from the left. Second solution will be finding some suitable spaces to overtake. Third is just follow behind. And if you see at the screen, you can see the results of different situations, the bird's eye view as well. You can also see the rating for different solutions. And all of this will be generated automatically using our VLA 2.0. It's not that we piecing together all the information. It's very native and also organic. We want to use our VLA 2.0 to find the easiest solution for our customers. With this kind of visual COT capability, we can deal with the complicated issues in the physical world. Second, about computing power. For our model, in the car, we need a very strong computing power so it can run very efficiently and fast and smooth as well. In our company, we self-developed our Turing chip. Based on our scenarios and user cases, we designed the specific underlying structure. On top of the chip, we also developed our automatic compiler to make our model running very smooth and also faster by 12 times. We also create our own Turing structure exclusively for our VLA 2.0. In doing so, you can see this kind of model running efficiency improved by 12 times, like I have mentioned. Here, I also want to explain a little bit about computing power. When we talk about AI chip, sometimes first is about memory, and then it's also about the efficiency of the computing power. And we need to think about what's the intensity of this kind of computing power. The purpose finally will be to maximize the efficiency of our computing power. Sometimes it will be about open source and the generic chip. Sometimes it's open source model and the Turing chip. And finally, we combine our own Turing model and also our own Turing chip to maximize the computing power utilization to 82.5%. And also the inference latency is also lowered by 10 times. Here, I also put a formula. The effective computing power equals to the nominal computing power by the computing power utilization rate.
有效算力就是指名义算力乘以它的芯片的算力利用率乘积。那我们在一开始说图灵芯片的时候，一颗图灵芯片的名义算力相当于大概是3颗的
At first, we said that one Turing chip has the compute power equivalent to 3 Orin X, but after our optimizations, we believe that the current effective computing power of our Turing chip is equivalent to 10 that of the Orin X. So when we want to evaluate the performance of the chip, we cannot singly look at the nominal compute, but we also need to check its effective compute. And next, let's talk about our training, the training compute. In the past, we often boast about our GPU training, our cloud training. And here I would like to give another statistics which also evaluate our training volume. And that is, we have already launched 468 models, roughly 4 models every day since last November. So you can sense the rapid progress we have. And that is thanks to our robust AI infrastructure serving as the foundation. Here we'll list some statistics. The first is the samples per second per GPU, which evaluate the training efficiency of single GPU. You can see that it improved from 0.1 to current 1.11, an increase of over 11 times. And next is the global samples per second, which evaluate the training efficiency per single task. It's also an improvement of over 43 times, which ensures us we can iterate faster. And lastly is the GPU hardware utilization rate. It improved from 40% in Q1 2025 to 90%, an increase of 125%. Out of this, thanks to our optimization of the fault tolerance, stability, efficiency, and the data read speed. Next, we'd like to touch upon the data. When we talk about data, what are we actually referring to? I think it's tokens, something you're quite familiar with. This is something that people would often discuss in the LLM and the AI era. During your training, when you have more high-quality tokens, your models would have robust capabilities and better generalization. This is something that people are highly convinced of in the current physical AI era. And right now, we have around 50 petabyte training data on our cloud. And this is about 20 times that of the training data volume used by the LLM. And because the information comes from the highly information-dense sensors and cameras, those high-definition cameras and the sensors can reach to 5.3 billion bytes every second. This kind of information density also ensured higher data volume. Therefore, we usually need to train about 4 trillion tokens for every one of our models. And this is our total training data volume. And next, we would like to share with you a very interesting statistic. During the New Year holiday, we find a lot of Chinese actually used the tokens pretty much. Actually, from February 16 to February 22nd this week, the total call volume soared to 5.16 trillion tokens by the Chinese model, roughly 0.7 trillion tokens every day. And for our VLA 2.0, every day we would consume about 58.8 trillion tokens across our 200,000 ultra model fleet. So it is actually 50 times that of the daily call volume of the Chinese model. So this actually speaks volumes of how complex our physical world is than the digital world. You need to have a robust computation capability and foundation models for you to really deliver great performance in the physical world. Next, I would like to share with you simulation test, something that people are also interested in. Our simulated mileage increased from 30,000 to over 500,000 cases, roughly 30 million kilometers every day in the real world. At the same time, our world model is frequently used in this simulation test. Here you can see that this is the same scenarios where there is a sudden darting out of pedestrian, and unlike the traditional simulations where people often replicate the scenarios, our world model can generate it more natively, naturally, and it would generate different cameras in different situations so that you can know how the vehicles can drive itself, and the vehicle will know how to drive safely. This kind of capability can also be generalized. This also enables us to collect data safely and more efficiently. Another thing is reinforcement learning. People often know that there is a reward mechanism in our reinforcement learning. I think one of the hardest parts in the physical AI, because we can hardly find a real-world scenarios to give rewards to our vehicle. So these world models can help us with that. The environment it creates will give this kind of reward. You can see the two videos on the left. Our world models, after having the input by the VLA 2.0, for example, the VLA 2.0 would output an action, and then the world models would generate the environment to give feedback to it, and then the VLA 2.0 will learn from the feedback and to learn how to adjust it. So that's how it can interact with the real world and become more robust. At the same time, the world model can also generate videos in several times, because oftentimes we will require the long-term time series speculating to help us how to plan the route. This will help us have a more consistent driving and to reduce the hallucination in the AI. Third is about our global deployment, something that we keep working with. We're also trying with this world model how help us to accelerate this global deployment by adding more data and helping with the infrastructure. Here's a case in Sweden. We described the scenarios using the text prompt and asked the world model to generate these scenarios, this environment. So this slides I've just covered tells you how the world models would generate this kind of native video instead of collecting them from the real world. And this would help us with better generalization. To sum up, why we can't release the VLA 2.0 today, it's quite painful because you need to start everything all over again. At a more foundation level, we solve the autonomous driving issues from modeled compute to data and try to strike a balance between these three factors. Lastly, I want to share with you some key milestones in 2026, something that you might be very interested in. And that also concerns whether I need to go naked in August. To be honest, we would have very rapid iterations. Our infrastructure can also help us with better acceleration. By the end of this year, we believe that the mileage per safety critical intervention will be increased by 50 times, and the miles per intervention will be increased by 25 times. As for the on-device model parameters, our goal is to increase it to 20 billion parameters. With all of this capability in place, we hope to rival FSD's capability in Silicon Valley, offering you a completely new experience in China. Next goal is the cockpit and driving integration powered by our VLA and VLM. And also it is about the distillation of our VLA 2.0 to our Max model. The specific deadline is yet to be disclosed, but it's definitely under our radar. And before the end of 2026, we'll also start our pilot operation of robotaxi. So this would be some of the key milestones we have for you in 2026. And this, well, is actually pretty hard to say, but to be honest, VLA 2.0 definitely present with us some impressive performance, and some of you have already tested before. We believe that this will enable us to widen our generational leap with the industry, and I think it's arguably the best smart driving system in China. Thank you all, and let's welcome Xiaopeng back to the stage.